Brother lads, welcome back to the Cossy podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand a new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. Arsenal have intensified their search for a new midfielder, with Douglas Luiz being the latest addition to the list of midfielders Mikel Arteta is looking at this summer. And there's so many big questions on Douglas Luiz, but at least one of the answers we have is that Arsenal have genuine interest in Douglas Luiz, and is one of the players that we have followed for quite some time, since the summer of 2021. Could it happen this summer? Are Aston Villa going to sell? Does the player want to play for Arsenal as well? And is it a deal that is financially doable for us in this transfer window? Of course, Arsenal still monitoring the situation on Martin Zubimendi and Bruno Guimaraes, according to Ben Jacobs and Sami Makpo as well. Now, we are going to see a change in terms of the Arsenal managerial position, because Mikel Arteta is set to become the most ever paid manager at Arsenal, and he's also going to become the most paid manager in the Premier League. That will make him among the top 5, most paid managers, in Europe, alongside the likes of, Carlo Ancelotti, Pep Guardiola, and the others, on this new deal that is about to sign, that it should be announced very, very soon. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Mikel Arteta is going to sign a new deal that sees him the most paid manager in the Premier League, and that means he's going to be at Arsenal for quite some time. If you give a manager such a big deal, it means you're confident he's going to be around, around with the project for the next maybe 3 years or even 5 years. So, are you confident Mikel Arteta is the right manager to take this project in front, to take this project, in the next step? I want your thoughts. I want your opinions, in the comment box below. But I want your thoughts on Douglas Luiz, because he's a very exciting player. And we talked about him with Glenn yesterday on his channel. Make sure you do check out his video. We talked about Luiz being another Jorginho, being the perfect replacement for Jorginho if Arsenal could actually get him. And now, according to Sami Makpo, Arsenal are doing some groundwork on the Douglas Luiz deal. So let me know your thoughts in the comment box below. We are very close to 79,000 subscribers. Please do subscribe. We need to get there as quickly as possible, and I really appreciate your support, guys. You've been absolutely incredible. Now, let's start off with a big mega deal that is very, very close, and that is Mikel Arteta signing a new deal that is going to make him the most paid manager, but the highest paid manager in the Premier League, Arsenal's ever highest paid manager in our history, and also one of the most paid managers in the whole of Europe, but also in the whole of the whole world. So he's going to sign a new deal that's going to see him on around 10 million or even slightly above that, at Arsenal. He's going to sign a new deal that could keep him at the club for the next 3 years or 4 years. So we are talking Mikel Arteta until 2030. Now, for me, when I saw this story, I thought about two things. The first thing I thought about is they trust him. And this is why they are investing billions, hundreds of millions and billions into this guy's project. They're bringing him, the right people in management, the right players, the right, staff, the right coaching staff. Whatever he asks for is what they give him. And for me, this was just a matter of time before Mikel Arteta signed a new deal that was absolutely crazy. Now, the one thing we have seen with highly, earning managers or high earning managers is they are winners. Mikel Arteta is yet to prove to us that he is a winner. But what he has built is something that is naturally progressing from one step to the other. When you think about where he got Arsenal in 2019 in December, and where Arsenal are right now, in terms of progression, in terms of squad building, in terms of culture, in terms of connection with the fans, I think he's done an incredible, incredible job. Now, for you to pay a manager 10 million, that is actually big money. I mean, it's really, really big money. And it means that if anything goes wrong, if the Cronkies decide to part ways with Mikel Arteta, that might be a distraction. That might be, a big disaster. So Mikel Arteta being given a new deal where he's the most paid manager in the Premier League is two ways. One, it is either the most expensive mistake Arsenal could ever make, or the smartest decision Arsenal could ever make. And let me explain. So the mistake would be, obviously, if you want to sack him and you have to pay out his contract, maybe it's 3 years, you might have to give him 30 million or 40 million if it's a 4-year deal. And that is disastrous to the accounting section, at the team. But this is the advantage of tying Mikel Arteta down to a lucrative deal for a long time. Mikel is going to dominate the Premier League. I don't have doubt about that. Pep Guardiola is leaving. Okay, maybe he leaves, maybe he doesn't. I think Mikel has shown us that he can go shoulder to shoulder with a young team, with Mikel Arteta. With Pep Guardiola. So that means that if Mikel stays and Pep stays as well, and Mikel Arteta's team develops into the prime team that we know they're going to become, we will be able to beat Man City to silverware, whether they have Pep or they do not have, right? So for me, it wouldn't make any sense for us to sack our manager right now, because we have endured his shortcomings anyway. We have endured his stupidity at times anyway. We have endured his lack of experience anyway. So you rather keep him, back him, give him a deal that that shows him that you are the boss, and then he's going to win for you. Because I am sure, starting next season, Arsenal are going to be lifting trophies, and I thank God that we're not going to be lifting the Community Shield, because that thing is cast. It is absolutely cast. If you win it, you're not winning the Premier League. So all our focus is going to be on the Champions League and the Premier League, and I think Arsenal this time will get one major silverware. We'll get one major trophy. Don't know what it's going to be, but we'll leave that for the prediction. So just in a nutshell, Arsenal have done the right decision. Keep your manager, make him hard to get, right? Because that is the thing with expensive players, and that is the thing with high earning managers. You don't just walk into Real Madrid and get Carlo Ancelotti, or you don't walk into Man City and get Pep Guardiola. He's already earning 10 plus million. So if you want to take him away, how much are you really going to pay him? Like 20, 30 million per year? That would be absolutely crazy. So for me, it's the right decision. Mikel deserves it. If he can go on to start winning, we are even going to be talking about him renewing deals, and we could see him stay at Arsenal for like 15 years, 17 years, as long as the team can actually win credible silverware. Now, Mikel Arteta is trying to fix his midfield, that much we know, and let's dive into the midfield talk that has been around for the last 24 hours. Sami Mapo was the first one to reveal that Arsenal are intensifying their efforts to sign a new midfielder, and one of the midfielders they're looking at right now is Douglas Luiz. Sami Mapo goes on to explain that Arsenal is still very much interested in all the other targets, that is Amadou Onana, Bruno Guimaraes and Martin Zubimendi. But when you look at all these deals, Arsenal are not sure they are 100% going to happen. Arsenal are very confident. They've had positive talks with Bruno Guimaraes, but you're not 100% sure that this deal is happening. You're not 100% sure that Newcastle are going to let him go. You're not 100% sure that the player also is going to be leaving. So they're trying to do or use the scattergun approach, where you have a couple of options just to prepare, just to be sure. If one doesn't come, you can actually go with the other. So Douglas Luiz is back on the transfer wish list at Arsenal. Now, for me, with Douglas Luiz, there is a lot that there is a lot that we've got to talk about. Number one, I think he's a quality Premier League player, but he lacks physicality. Secondly, I think he's a Mikel Arteta signing, and he would be a very good Mikel Arteta signing, but I don't think he is a very good number 6. I think he would be a very good player, just a very good midfielder alongside other midfielders. And thank God we have Declan Rice. So with Declan Rice and him, I think we could have the perfect partnership, because he's a midfield controller, ball controller. He takes very good care of the ball. Not very good at winning tackles. So maybe that's where we would see Declan Rice real reason for signing Arsenal coming into fruition and coming into use as well. Now, there are a couple of things for us to talk about here. Are Aston Villa really going to let one of their best players last season walk away regardless of how much you're offering, right? And then we're going to talk about the price as well. But I think Villa will do whatever it takes. They will do whatever it takes to keep him. And if it was Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton, Brentford, Man City, Man United, that is what you would expect. You would expect such a team to protect one of their best midfielders, right? So Villa back in the Champions League, And that is going to be costly for them. That is going to be expensive for them in terms of the squad. It's going to stretch their squad as big as they cannot imagine. It's going to require them to have extra quality, because in the Champions League new format, you might play Bayern, Madrid, and Barcelona. Like it could, maybe not that right, but we could see Bayern, Madrid, PSG, Aston Villa. We could see those teams in the same kind of group, right? And we might see games against Aston Villa, and we might see games against Madrid, Inter Milan, Bayern. So you're going to need a lot of quality, and I think with Villa right now, they're thinking more about how do we keep the players we have, how do we add to the quality we have, rather than how do we sell to make some cash or to make this team better. Otherwise, if that was their strategy, they wouldn't have employed a manager like Unai Emery. They wouldn't have brought in a manager like Unai Emery. I doubt, right? Because Unai Emery is kind of a winner, and his job is, in most cases, is to win, right? So if you bring him in, it means that you want to win. So I don't think they're going to easily let him go. In terms of pricing, he signed a new deal. I think that was in 2023. So he signed a new deal, and that deal will expire in 2026 or even 2027. When you think about that, Aston Villa have a lot of power in negotiating where he goes, in negotiations, right? If Arsenal went in there to talk to Aston Villa, Villa could say we want 70 million, right? Because he still has a deal, and they see him as a very integral part of this team and as a very important player, in that team as part of Unai Emery's setup. So it's a very difficult deal to do. It's one that I don't even see happening. 3 years ago, funny enough, 3 years ago or 2 years ago actually, when I looked at this deal, I was like, it could happen. I mean, Douglas Luiz, it could happen. That was in 2022, right? I looked at it. His contract was running down, and Aston Villa refused to sell him, and they said, you have 1 year left on your deal. You are going to stay, and if you want to go, you live on a free. And eventually, in 2023, they actually convinced him to sign a new deal. So it's a deal that I don't see happening. 2 years ago, I thought it was the easiest doable deal Arsenal could ever make. 2 years later on, it's the hardest deal. It's harder than Zubimendi deal. It's harder than the Bruno Guimaraes deal. This is the reason. With the Bruno Guimaraes deal, you have a release clause, right? Castle don't want to sell. They've made it clear it's 100 million or no deal. But you have the release clause, which is payable in 3 installments. So if you're serious about him and you're crazy and you're really mad in love with him, you would go out there and trigger the release clause. So that is an easy deal, as long as you agree personal terms. With Martin Zubimendi, he's a cheaper option, for Christ's sake, but also it's about agreeing personal terms and convincing the player. There is a release clause in the contract he has with Real Sociedad. But I can't lie, Douglas Luiz, I don't see that happening. I would love him at Arsenal. I think he's got the quality to play in our system. He's got the experience from the Premier League. He's been at Man City, and his style of play is typical Mikel Arteta, right? I think the player in 2022 was contemplating about playing for Arsenal. He was thinking about joining us. He was pushing for a move before the summer ended, and that didn't actually go very well. But right now, I think he's focused. I think Villa have given him a deal that he loves. They have given him Champions League football. They might not give him silverware quickly, but there is hope that when you have a manager like Unai Emery and you have a project that Aston Villa have, with the likes of Pau Torres, with the likes of Watkins, Luiz himself, Kamara, and a couple of other good players there. There is a chance that they win silverware. There is hope that they will win, some silverware. So for me, Arsenal should just move on. I think Kimmich is an easier deal than this one. Guimaraes is an easier deal than this one. Zubimendi is an easier deal than this one. Think about any other deal, but not this one. This one is a very hard deal. And if Arsenal crack this, if Arsenal actually, bring him, it would be the best piece of negotiation we have done. Like, a player who's not thinking about moving, and a club that is not thinking about selling, and a club that has big ambitions, and you poach a player like Douglas Luiz of that caliber out of them, that would be smart negotiation. So talk to me, guys, in the comment box below. Like I said, we want to get to 100,000 subscribers this year, and the strategy is easy. It is you guys. I can't do it without you. You guys have done this. We are at 78, and if we get 2,000 more subscribers, we are going to be at exactly 80,000, right? Beyond this summer, or during this summer, we're going to try to get to 90,000, and in the new season, we are going to try to get to 100,000. So please and please do subscribe to the channel, do hit the like button, share the content. Talk to me in the comment box below. It helps a lot on the content. The like button helps a lot on the content. I'm going to speak to you right in the next one. We have an upload coming out with me and Glenn. It's going to be live streamed at exactly 9 p.m. So stay tuned for that one. Cheers.